One activity where redevelopment of the hands and feet has had the most impact for me is yoga. The hands and feet form the foundations of most yoga poses, yet just about every yoga class I've attended takes the hands and feet as essentially fixed and treats them like blunt instruments.
Now, the premise of the Counterspiral program is that most of us don't fully develop our hands and feet during our formative years, and we misuse them throughout our lives.
That was certainly the case for me, and my yoga practice was ultimately limited by misalignments in the bones of my feet and the resulting accommodations in my legs and spine to compensate. I'm no yoga master, but I've been practicing regularly for about 10 years now, and before starting the program, my practice had effectively plateaued. Since then, I've redeveloped my hands and feet around the rotational axis, and that's brought new life back to my practice. I believe the program can help you find a path forward too. In this first video in the Foundations of Yoga series, I'll focus on the positioning, placement, and motion of the feet, and try to reframe some basic yoga poses to emphasize the role of the rotational axes. In the foot, the rotational axis runs from the back outer edge of the heel bone to the inside tip of the big toe. The foot rotates medially around the axis with every step, moving from the outer to the inner edge across the heel and the transverse arch in a smooth, rolling motion.
When the axis is fully developed, the structure formed by the precise coordination of the 26 bones of the foot across the rotational axis can improve grip and proprioception and extend muscle tension from the toes up to the hips, bringing the body's lines of force into focus. While you may not feel many of these benefits early in your training, you should try to incorporate the axis of rotation into your yoga practice from the start, letting it inform every pose where the feet serve as foundation. Let's focus on the positioning, placement, and motion of the feet through a couple of basic yoga poses, starting with mountain pose, arguably the most basic of yoga poses, but one we're about to reframe.
In this revised mountain pose, the inside edges of your feet rotate against each other at the body's midline to form a structure central to the program called the vault.
Over time, the force of countervailing rotational axes coming together creates a powerful engine for realigning the bones of the feet. In addition to vertical alignment of the legs and spine, mountain pose now works to fuse the two halves of your lower body together, pushing them towards perfect symmetry.
Before you enter the pose, roll both feet onto their outer edges, trying to clench them as much as you can while bringing them into contact at the inside tips of both the heel bones and big toes.
Now roll your feet against each other and down at the extended midline, trying to form a seamless line of contact between your feet along their medial arches. As redevelopment of your feet around the rotational axes progresses, your inner ankles and knees will come together just as your medial arches align. You should be able to hold your legs together as you transition from mountain to chair pose, simply inclining your upper body forward a bit as you sit in order to maintain balance across the midline. The vault structure will provide a stable foundation, and your ankles and knees should remain in contact throughout. The vault structure uses both feet, but even in poses where the feet are separated, each one should be positioned, placed, and rotated as if the other one were there pushing back.
Let's take a look at Warrior 2.
To enter the pose, position your front foot by cocking your heel in, up, and back. Place it down on its outer edge along the base of the fifth metatarsal, so that when you rotate it into position, both the outside tip of your heel bone and the inside tip of your big toe make contact at the extended midline. Similarly, position and place your back foot so that the outer heel and inside tip of the big toe are perpendicular to the midline once the foot completes its roll across the rotational axis, with the heel just touching the midline. The pose is otherwise unchanged, but the lines of force created by the activated rotational axes extending through the ankles and into the legs should now supply the muscle tension needed to maintain this pose with minimal use of the thigh muscles.
Be sure to extend the same care to positioning your feet when you enter other poses as well, whether your feet are together or separate.
Be sure to leave a comment if you want more information about the poses described here. And check out the next video for reframing poses like plank and downward dog, where the hands form part of the foundation.